through 7 o'clock tonight. By tomorrow, the sun will shine, the winds will ease, and highs will be cooler in the mid-50s. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently 53 degrees.
And it's Wednesday. It's the noon hour. That means it is time for Senior Talk, which is brought to you by the Solon American Legion, Senior Benefits, and Walden Place Senior Living. And here's your host, Rex Brandstatter.
Thank you, Tommy. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rex Brandstatter, and it's a wonderful day for Senior Talk. It is April, believe it or not. We made it through January and February and March into April. Kind of feels like February, but it's getting better today. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to Senior Talk. What a great day to be here with you, and I look forward to a few things we're going to cook up here today. Hello, and thank to each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day to listen in here today on Senior Talk. And you can be a senior or a Senior Talk gonna be. Hopefully you're a senior wannabe, just don't rush it. Once you get there, there's no going back, folks, that's for sure. The weekly radio program where we try to talk and discuss and analyze things that might be of importance to you. Now, it might not be strictly for you. It might be someone in your family, some of your friends, some of your acquaintances. You might just say, well, I heard on Senior Talk that you can do this or do that, or could you consider this type of thing. That's what Senior Talk is all about. I'm trying just to stir the pot to help you as seniors come up with some things that maybe you should consider taking part of getting started with, things like that. So that's what it is, and I'll do my best every week to bring up some ideas that I think are important. Maybe you could sort of wade in and see what things for you. My name's Rex Brandstatter. I'm a 75-year-old real estate broker, and I love to meet and talk with and work with seniors, and that's most of my business these days, and has been for a long time. Work with seniors and their families. Sometimes I get to meet the families. In other words, the kids. Sometimes the kids are in their 60s. 50s, 60s, 40s, makes no difference to me. And whenever we meet, we can meet at your house, we can meet at your attorney's office, we can meet at my office, coffee shop, makes no difference. It's just a great opportunity to sit down and talk about maybe you have a real estate need. And I can certainly help you. After 52 years in business, I can certainly do my best to help you with your situation, whatever that may be. And say some of the situations are as important as just figuring out a way to stay in your own home. Just because I'm a real estate broker doesn't mean I want to sell your home. If that happens, that happens. But maybe we talk and we figure out a way for you to stay there, because everybody wants to do what's called age in place. In other words, stay where they're at. So that's the story. We'll do all kinds of things like that. And I offer you a senior line. You can give me a call at 319-330-5534. 330-5534. So tell you what, folks, get yourself a comfortable chair and grab yourself a sandwich and a nice cold root beer, and let's see what we can put together this week. First of all, I should tell you that last week I was talking about some locations in Iowa City, and I could not remember the name of the golf course out on east side of Iowa City on American Legion Road. And it's just one of those things. I drew a blank when I'm on the program, and of course, I get back to my car, and there's 3 or 4 texts in there from friends, Ron and Jim and some other guys that said, "Hey, it was Fairview Golf Course." Well, thanks guys for helping me out, because I was going to go back and look it up for sure. And it was Fairview Golf Course, which is now a housing development, as you might suspect around here. So that's where it was. I'm sorry I had the big senior moment, but hey, we all get it. Well, it's either spring, or is it winter, or is it summer, or what's going on? It's snowing in northern Iowa and southern Minnesota right now. We had some big rains, which we need. They talked about possible hail, and I have a brand new roof on one of my properties. The new roof went on Monday. So I'm thinking, oh no, brand new shingles and all those types of things, and now we're going to have hail. If the adjuster came out and he said, well, how was the roof? I would have to tell him 2 days. He probably wouldn't feel good for me. He'd probably feel bad. So I don't know that we dodged the hail, but I haven't heard him talk about that. We have not dodged the winds. They're going to blow in off the prairie this afternoon, so hang on to your hat for sure. Yeah, I have to tell you, it's nice to see so many people out and around on a Friday of last week when it was 75 to 80 degrees. we certainly get spoiled with that in just one day, don't we? Just one day, and we're ready for 75 to 80. And so many of you, if you remember last Friday night, we're out and around. We were down the IRL in Corville, down by the arena at a restaurant, and there were just all kinds of people out walking around. We are so ready for warm weather, it isn't even funny. Well, I must remind you that the deadline for your property taxes has come and gone. You missed it if you didn't pay your property taxes. You are now subject to every month they slap on a 1.5% penalty. So you might want to take advantage of not doing that. It's good for that. The 1.5 is good for the whole month of April. It doesn't go up. It is still 1.5. Then May 1st, you get another 1.5. So pretty soon you're talking real money here. So don't delay. And then I should remind you, unfortunately, I'm the guy you don't want to have reminding you things, but income taxes are due April 15th. I know people who haven't even started. They haven't even started. We filed over a month and a half ago, and we don't mess around with that. We just take care of that. So don't mess with the IRS, folks. Do whatever you want, but that's the last people I'd mess with, for sure. And good luck to you with that. And don't delay. Do it right. Do it legal, and you don't have to worry about things like that. Well, I've had so many good conversations with seniors this week, and many of the scenarios and the statuses of things, it just can't be true. But they are. So some of these things you think, oh, no, it must have made that up. Well, they're not, because I know most of the people I talk to, not all of them, but they call me and they just level-headed tell me all these things. So they are what they are. We just never know what life's going to do, and we don't know what we're going to get into next. So this senior lady tells me that she was talking to a senior man last week, and the next day she called to set up a time to meet him again, and he was advised he's in the hospital and he's very sick. So let me repeat that. A senior lady was telling me that she was talking to a senior man last week, and the next day she called to set up a time to meet with him again on their project we're on, and she was advised, oh, he's in the hospital and is very sick. 1 day later. Just 1 day later. So it wasn't a car accident or anything like that. He just all of a sudden had some kind of an issue. It was not even a heart attack. I don't know the real issue. That's just kind of, so I guess the seniors, we just don't know, and that's sort of the attitude that we have to take forward, I guess, for sure. Well, a senior lady tells me this. The nice neighbor man passed away a couple weeks ago. She says, now we see people at the house moving things and doing this and doing that, lights on in the evenings and coming and going. Do you think those people are okay to be doing that? And I said, well, gee whiz, I don't know. I said this. I said, if you know any other family members of the deceased, contact them. Call one of them. And I said, if you don't know them, why you might just casually say, hi, I'm Alice, the neighbor. Anything you need or anything I can help you with, or you need anything. Or if you just don't do anything, and you call the police as a concerned neighbor, and maybe they'll stop and check people out. And I don't see anything wrong with that, even if it turns out to be, and this lady says we've never seen him over there, it turns out to be the daughter or the long-lost brother-in-law from Ohio or something like that who was here for the funeral and came back, things like that. But you never know these days. These could be bad guys over there emptying out the house. You never know. I would at some point. I don't mean stick my nose in, but I think you should ask the questions of some people to find out. And the least obtrusive way, if you will, would just be call the police, tell them exactly what you told me, and they'll just have a guy or a lady, a cop, policeman, I guess, cop, stop over and say hi. We noticed that going on. Are you supposed to be here, or what's the scoop? You'll find out that one of them is the executor, or one of them is the administrator of an estate. Won't be an administrator after just 2 weeks, I'll tell you that. So they'd have to have some legal status to be there. Because what we see lots and lots of times, as soon as some Mr. Smith passes away, some of his kids think that, oh, Dad's gone, we're going to go load up the stuff. And that happens all the time. That's why they invented attorneys. That happens all the time. There needs to be a orderly fashion way to do those things. Now, many times I get calls from trust departments of banks, and they'll say our our customer, our client, Mr. Jones, passed away, and we are in charge of the estate, or the executor, and he has a house. I've gone with the trust officer many times, and we contact and we change the locks of the house. One of my services, we change the locks of the house. That way there's no access. So the young son from Kansas happens to come up here because Dad's now gone, and he wants to get a hold of all the power tools. Well, he can't get in because maybe Dad left them to someone else. We don't know. That could be as innocent as the day is long, but there needs to be a control factor there. And the control factor is to lock the place up and don't let anyone in until there's an orderly, legal, and proper dissemination of whatever is in there. Now, the son from Kansas, and I'm just fishing on this thing, a son from Kansas comes up, and he always wanted the table saw, and while he's there, he loads up the other hand tools and things like that and takes the couch that he wasn't supposed to get because he didn't know someone else was going to get it. Now you've got World War III in the family, and these things happen all the time, unfortunately, but that's the nature of the beast. And another reason, that's why they invented attorneys, to try to come up with an orderly way to take care of these things. All right, so that's the story. So I said, you might just say hi to somebody. Sorry about Mr. Smith being gone, blah, blah, blah. Or you just call the police and tell them your story and let them deal with it. That's kind of my preference there, unless you know the people who are over there. Anyhow, but you don't, call the cops. All right. A senior man tells me this. My mom recently passed away, and a few years ago, I agreed to be the executor of her estate. Well, that's honorable, and that's wise of you. That's good of you. That's nice of you. You kind of get yourself into a pickle. Let's see what here's what the lady says. She has a nice home, no mortgage, a car, insurance, money in the bank, some bank accounts, and I live here in town. So that's pretty normal for Mom to say, well, here's Sally. She lives right here in town. Called you. Would you be interested in being the executor of my estate? Sure, I'll help you, Mom. So that's what happened. All right. Now the lady says, seems one of my two siblings, so she's got two sisters or one of each, who live down south. One of the two who lives down south is trying to tell the other two of us, you need to do this, you can't do that. Mom wanted this to happen, wanted that to happen. Well, folks, this too is pretty common. This is another reason they invented attorneys, is to deal with things just exactly like in this scenario number one. Mom wanted this to happen, Mom wanted that to happen. And the lady who lives here in town says, I have the will, which all three of us have a copy, and none of those things are mentioned. The attorney tells me, quote, go with the will. That is exactly right. The attorney, and I'm not questioning the attorney, never did, but that is what? Here's what Mom wrote in the will. Here's what's going to happen, needs to happen. Here's what I want this to go to, who gets that, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't jive with the sister who lives down south somewhere. She's trying to call the shot. These out-of-town siblings, happens all the time, ladies and gentlemen. So you live here in town, and your mom passes away, and you're working on things here, and you've been closer to Mom, you've been around Mom more than the other one, or other two, or any of the other siblings. Maybe you've helped with lots and lots of different things because they're out of town, blah, blah, blah. And now here comes the time for the will, and now one or more of them are chiming in on need to do this, need to do that, need to do this, need to do that. Now, if it's constructive suggestions, that's one thing. But this lady didn't sound like it was constructive. Well, you have to go do this. You mean just like marching orders. And she says, I'm not doing that. The out-of-town family member take control. So I said, do your job with whatever your attorney says. They're the boss. Do your job as per the written agreement, which would be the will. And obviously, in this case, that's what the attorney recommends. It may cost you the relationship with a sibling, but you are complying with the terms of your mom's written wishes. And it might cause turmoil in the family. Wills do cause turmoils in the family. I thought I was going to get the car, and all I got was the green sofa type of thing. Or Dad always said I'd get the fishing gear and the guns, and now you took it because your son fishes more than anybody else in the family. Well, that's not the way it's supposed to happen. So an attorney will tell you, just like this one did, when in doubt, and if there was any doubt, when in doubt, go with what's in writing. And that's what you need to do. So good luck to that lady, and sorry about your dad, and sorry about your mother passing away, and just go with what's in writing, and at least you took the high road for sure. All right. A senior couple advises we are still involved with a will of a sibling, almost the same thing. In the will, it says a certain property will be sold. The sibling that is still alive has refused to consent to selling their property. So it's this couple advises that one of their brothers or seniors or sisters of the couple, we'll say Mrs. Smith, inherited a property, and her sister doesn't want the house to be sold. That's really what this is. The sibling that is still alive has refused to consent to selling that property. It's been almost 5 years. What can we do? And in my capital letters, my notes, it said, call an attorney. She said, she said, well, we've been to an attorney. I said, you go back to the attorney because the estates have time limits on them, and pretty soon there's going to be some real tax implications here and some other implications. Pretty soon there's going to be some liability. Pretty soon there's going to be somebody's going to sue somebody. And I don't know the reasoning. I didn't get into it. None of my business why the other sibling doesn't want to sell. I don't know the answer to that. One sibling is holding up an estate proceeding here. So I said, go back to the attorney and dig a little deeper and have another meeting. Again, this could cause, it sounds like it's already caused a rift if one of them doesn't want to sell. Maybe one of them wants to buy the property. That's an option. Offer to sell that person the property. I'm going to say, let's take a guess. The house is worth $300,000. There's an appraisal or $300,000. That means that that sibling could buy it for $500,000. Normally, buy it for half, or two of you, or you can buy it for half. Well, if neither one of you want it, maybe the other one has plans to buy it to wait you out. You ever think about that? I'll sell you my half for $50,000. Okay, that could be. I don't know. I'm just fishing here, but that's the kind of things that estates get in charge with, and attorneys get in the middle of them, for God's sake. Well, questions from this week. How does that sound? I like it. Rex, is Meals on Wheels still going? My mother needs attention. We go to her house, and we don't think she's eating on time, so to speak, in an orderly fashion. We open the refrigerator, and there's about 13 half bottles of ketchup and 9 half bottles of pickles and things like that. We just don't see much there. Well, the answer is yes. Meals on Wheels is still going, still active. I have a good friend who is a delivery man for Meals on Wheels, and he really loves his job. He says it brings a lot of satisfaction to his customers, his clients, and also to himself. So, case in point, my brother and I decided we investigated our mom's refrigerator. We found just exactly the things I told you about. And so we sat her down. We said, it's time for Meals on Wheels. No, I'm doing fine. Everything's fine. We said, no, it's not. So we signed her up for Meals on Wheels. At that time, it was through Mercy Hospital in Iowa City, so it's been a while ago. And at that time, you got a choice. They had a meal choices. Today, you can have a baked chicken and a potato and vegetable type of thing, or you can have roast beef and the same vegetables or something like that. Well, you got your choice. Well, about a week later, my brother called me. Said, I talked to Mom, and things are going good. She loves Meals on Wheels. I said, good for her. Well, a couple of days later, she calls me, and remember now, this is Mom who didn't want to sign up. She says to me, the guy's late. He usually comes from 11:30 to 12. I haven't seen him. I said, well, did you ever think of maybe of a car trouble, or maybe he got off a different route, or somebody else is taking your route and they don't exactly know where the places are? I said, just hang tight. Well, about 20 minutes later, he finally showed up. He did have car trouble. So you see, it's not only a meal, but it's what they call a touch. I didn't have time to go see my mom every day. Went there a lot, talked to her a lot. But Monday through Friday, somebody knocked on her door, and she got to say hi, and they got to at least sneak a peek inside at the door there and say, hi, how you doing today, Mary Bell? That was Mom, type of thing, and she enjoyed it. So didn't want to sign up, and then she was worried because the guy's late. Well, it turns out one of the main delivery guys was one of my high school classmates. So he'd call me and say, just saw your mom. Boy, she's the nicest lady. She's all fired up today. She's going to go to the movie or do this, blah, blah, blah. So we felt good that that's what happened there. So it's a good experience. And you can call Meals on Wheels right here in town. They're at 319, of course, 338-0515, 338-0515. 338-0515, and talk to them about their program. I don't remember the cost. It was nominal. My brother and I split it, of course, and I tried to beat him out, make him pay the whole thing, but he reminded me it was 50-50. And we paid for it. We didn't take it out of Mom's account. We just paid for it. So go ahead and get started. Just call and talk to them for sure. Rex, I just noticed that my company sold a condo. This friend of mine has some real estate. I just noticed that my company sold a condo, and now the assessor has changed the price of all the other condos in that building to match the price for the one that we sold. I said, well, that was easy pickings. There's 12 of them in the building. One of them sold. That makes the other 12 worth about the same. I said, that's their job. I said, those are based on comparable sales. I suggest you call the assessor and sit down with them to go over things. So do it now. So that's what he's going to do. And so in a 12-plex, we'll say, the apartments were made into condominiums. That's a legal term, by the way. Nothing special. So one of them sold. So the assessor said, "Oh, that one sold for $100,000, and we'll make them all worth $100,000." So hey, that's the bed you lay in, and that's what's going to happen over there. So at least you get to go down to the assessor, go to the back room, call down there, and tell them you want to have a back room sit down chat. Talk. That's what I suggest. All right. Here's a question. I've had this question many, many times, but I haven't had it for a long time. Is it a good idea to put our son's name on the deed and title of our house? Is it a good idea to put our son's name on the deed / title of our house? And my answer is maybe and maybe not. Why? I said, well, what you will need is a QCD. It's called quit, QIT, not quick, but quit. Claim deed, QCD, that is the transfer document that an attorney will draw for you. And what it would do is put your son's name on there. All right, so you are Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and you want to have Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Your name's already on it, and now you want to have Johnny Smith's name put on it. All right, well, who wouldn't want to do that? Well, I'm saying you talk to your attorney before you do that. Oh, if the attorney says it's a good idea, then proceed. However, your son will be an owner. All right, he's now an owner. So what if he gets a lien filed against him for something? What if someone takes legal actions against him for actions in the future? Now, your son, I don't know him. He may be the most honest, God-fearing guy on the planet, but he may be a young guy and still out there doing some things, and all of a sudden he gets in trouble and they file a lien against him. And they look it up, and he's a part owner of a house, so now there's a lien on your house. But it's not your house, it's your house, and it's your son's house. So now you've subjected yourself and your property and any other of your properties. If they're going to put a lien on, they'll just slap it on all your properties you have because your son didn't take care of it. Maybe he didn't pay it. Maybe he's in an auto accident, something really terrible, and they have to pay this or that, and they put a lien on him. Well, it's going to show up on that property. So those are red, yellow tripwire, yellow flags you need to look out for. You might end up paying for his issue and borrowing money against your house to pay for it. Wow, that's not what you had up your sleeve. So I'm saying you be careful, be very careful. I've been a realtor for a long time, 52 years I was in. I've never really seen a good reason to do this. My take on that, according to my attorney, is you could do that with your will, leave it to your son. Now, I don't have any kids, so that's not possible for me, but I just want you, before you do that, it sounds easy, and the QCD, the quit claim deed, is for round figures. Time you record it and meet with the attorney, I'm taking a guess, $100 to $150 event, okay? But your attorney will give you good legal advice. That's what I want you to do. Before you do that, just put his name on there. What the heck? We pass away. You're going to go right to him. You can do that without putting his name on. So I'm suggesting that this is a good thought as long as you do it according to what your attorney suggests. Or you might talk to your CPA and see if they have a take on it from the tax standpoint, see if they're up to date, maybe more than the attorney on the tax standpoint. You might want to do that. All right. Here's a lady who says, a senior man who says, we have a regular old basement with the small windows. You know those small windows that are kind of 1 foot tall and 2.5 feet wide. They're called daylight windows because all you can do is daylight. They're known as daylight windows. Can we do something to get big windows down there? That way it would give us some more light. And I said, well, yeah, but yes, it is expensive. They won't know if it's expensive. Yes, it is expensive. You will need to contact a company that works on foundations and probably a carpenter to figure out what window sizes. And I said, do you want a door? Do you want steps to go up? Things like that. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Oh, I said, well, if you want to make a legal bedroom down there or a legal room, then you're going to need to do it by code. And when you do this job, you're going to have to go get a building permit to do this thing because you're making a structural change to your house. You have to get a building permit. And they do have, Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty, Tiffin, all of them do have codes on what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to take that window, and on the outside, you're going to have to put some steps in there so if anybody's down there, use that room that they can get out. That's the kind of things you're going to start to get into. Just because you wanted a bigger window, the deck is halfway stacked against you on that. So, again, I want you to do this. I want you to call a contractor because they're going to. If you have a poured cement, they have to saw the concrete. If you have cement blocks, they have to score it and cut it. It's a big deal, folks. They have to dig up the yard. You have to. You have to get a room for light to get in there. I mean, it's not just go put a saw a hole in it and put in a window. It's a big deal, and rightfully so because there's so many other things that go. It's called an ingress egress type of thing where you might have steps. You might have no cover over it. You have to have gravel in about it for drainage. Folks, there are no easy answers to anything anymore. It's way beyond easy answers, for God's sake. All right. But it can be done, and I've been in lots and lots of houses that have what this guy calls a regular old basement with those daylight windows. They've done this. It changes the whole dynamics of the house. It changes the dynamics of the basement. Now there's a family room down there, and there's an ingress-egress window. You're down there with maybe a bedroom down there, and you don't want your family members down there and can't get out in case of a fire, for God's sake. They can break that window, and which means when a legal window, well, Rex, what's that? Well, it has to be roughly, if I recall, the 15% square footage of the window as compared 15% of the square footage of wall space of the wall. It has to be so far down to the ground so you can get through without getting a ladder to get to the window to get out. It's complicated, but it can be done. All right, good luck to you. It's not cheap, but it is doable, and it will has a long time history of increasing the value of your property. All right. Can we enclose our carport to be a garage? Now, a carport, you drive down the street, there were hotsy-totsy deals in the 50s and some into the 60s. It's a garage with no door and a garage with no sides. That's how I call it. A garage with no garage door and no sides. And usually they're built, a couple of reasons they're built, because the people wanted to save some money on the construction. Well, we'll just do a carport. We'll come back and do the other later. Well, with a carport, another part of that, another carport, you can go closer to your side yard. So if the garage is on the east, your carport's on the east side of the house, you could go, your normal setback in most subdivisions is 6 feet back from your property line, depending on where you are, of course. With the carport, you could go over to a foot. So now you want to put a wall there, make a garage. Guess what? You're too close. If you go get a permit, they'll go, where is it? We'll go drive-by is what they all do now. They'll go drive-by and they'll go, wait a minute now. Your carport extends within a foot or well under the 6 feet required. Well under the 6 feet required. Well, we really wanted that. Well, they're going to say, well, this house was built in 1958. In today's world, these carports are not all that popular. They're basically useless other than a roof over the head of your car. There's nowhere to store anything of any value. There's no warmth. There's no can't hide anything in there. You don't want anybody to get to. No place for the lawnmower. They're a pain in the butt. How's that sound? Because I think they're a pain in the butt. So what communities have done, including Coralville and Iowa City, you can go to the board of review type of thing, board of adjustment, and make a petition there to go there, and they will go out and take a look, and they'll say, This house was built in 1958, and back then we understand that. They'll have a public hearing, usually, and they usually have to contact the neighbor to say, here's what could happen over there. If the neighbor complains, well, then you're toast, probably. Again, it sounds simple. Let's put some walls on there. Not that easy, folks. It's just not. You'll need the okay from your city housing or zoning people. You might have to go to the Board of Adjustment. It's not fast, it's not easy, but lots and lots of times it's very successful. So, and again, it will absolutely increase the value of your house. Now, what we see a lot of times when there's a carport for those homes built in the 50s and early to mid 60s, we see the carport there, and in a design flaw, in my opinion, a design flaw is you get out of your car with your groceries, and sometimes even if you have a garage, you have to go in the front door or around to the back door. There's no door from the garage right into the side living room or into the side dining area or anything like that. That is an issue. That's a design flaw. So now you're going to buy a house. When you get home, everything you take in, you got to go in the front door of the house. You don't want to go traipsing in the front door of your house with your groceries all the time or around the back door. It might be slippery or wet or raining and stuff like that. The ease in our today's world, you pull into your garage and you get out and you take your groceries in the shelter of your garage. So there's a lot of things going on, folks, in a house design. If you're out looking for houses, they're older houses, start thinking about some of these things. Because if you live there, I always ask people, can you see yourself living here? Well, yeah, we love it. Well, what are you going to do if you come home with groceries? Well, I'll get out here and we'll have to go around the back door. I said, there you go. If that doesn't bother you, fine. I won't be living here. If it doesn't bother you to go in the front door with all those things, fine. And knock yourself out. But just sort of start to think about what you're looking at here. All right. And so that's what's going to happen. I got a call this week. This is kind of fun. I got a call this week, and the lady said, were there 2 Barber's Bake Shops downtown Iowa City? And I quickly said, yes, there were. And I told a friend then. He said, no, there was just one, Rex, across the street from the Englert, next to the Varsity Theater, which is later the Astro, next to the Varsity. I said, well, yeah, there was also one over on College Street next to the Strand. There was? I don't think he knew about it. And I don't know how long it lasted over there. It was several years. But there were 2 Barber's Bake Shops. And then we got talking about Barber's Bake Shops. And the ladies who worked there always had the kind of uniforms on. And they had, I don't know, to me they looked like seersucker uniforms, like a nursing thing. And they were very, very attractive, very, very sanitary looking. And I know they got sick of kids going in there. I want one of those. And a chocolate chip, and I want that thing over there that is all with the pink. I want one of those. And I know they got sick of kids, but then again, we were customers, and that's what they're there for. And I can remember my mom buying birthday cakes down there, going down to Barber's to pick up a cake. My brother and I thought we were in hog heaven because we're going to get a birthday cake from Barber's Bake Shop. It was the thing to do, absolutely. And no good trip downtown, a shopping downtown or a business trip downtown. It really wasn't official until you stopped in the Barber's Bake Shop. And when you went in there, I can remember that smell as sure as I'm sitting in this chair at the beautiful KCJJ studios south of town. I could smell Barber's Bake Shop a mile away. I wish it was there again today. Well, that's what happens. And another lady called me. I don't know. I must have been, my phone must have been an easy target. She said, where was the Zesto? What exactly was the Zesto? Well, the Zesto was a Dairy Queen-ish type of thing. It was a buying group called Zesto. I don't believe it was a franchise. Might have been. I don't believe it was. And it was on the Coralville Strip. Now, it was on the Coralville Strip, but it was on the Iowa City side. It was at the corner of Rocky Shore Drive and the Strip, and just to the west. Because on the corner there, on the northwest corner of Rocky Shore Drive and Highway 6, the Strip, there was originally the Melody Mill was there, which was a dairy down in there. And there was a motel, Cobus Motel, the Siesta Motel was in there. And then the first place to the west of that was the Zesto. And the Zesto was an ice cream place, and closed in the winter, of course, the standard ice cream stand, we'll call it. And it was the mecca for people because the Coralville Strip was heating up. Coralville didn't amount to much, but our Little League, after the games in the summer, we got to go to the Zesto. And here's how it worked. The coach got a free ice cream cone. That way they suckered the coach into bringing all the kids down there. And if you lost your game, you got a small for a nickel, and if you won your game, you got a 10-center. And isn't that terrible? There were no participation ice cream cones, folks. You were a winner or a loser. One or the other. And if you lost, you were you wanted to get the win next time so you could get the bigger cone. And of course, us rich kids, ones that had paper routes, we always had a quarter in our pockets. We always got the big one anyhow. So that's the deal. Now, the interesting thing about the Zesto, it was in the 50s and early 60s. The Zesto, get this. It's on the north side of the strip, face the south, and it's where later Lums came in the door right there. And it's right in the park. What's there now? The Vine is there. It's long right in there, a little to the east of the Vine in the Tom Riley Law Firm. That's where it was. And it sat below the Coralville Strip. It sat, which is actually in Iowa City at that location. It sat below. So when you went there, you drove down of their little gravel in their parking lot, little gravel embankment, and the same thing get back out, one on either side. So that's how much they filled that Coralville Strip down there in order to try to get away from floods and things like that. So I miss the Zesto and I miss Barbara's Bake Shop. That's what I'm saddled with this week. So good for you, and I hope you're having good for you and having a good week, having a good weekend. Maybe you, too, remember Barbara's Bake Shop and all the things that you bought down there. Maybe you even knew some of the ladies who worked there. Jack Perkins was an owner. I played golf, Jack, many times at the Elks Club. So it was a great business. So one of those things we always remember. Your hometown, maybe there was a bakery down there. You could still smell from just walking in the door. That's it. Well, you know, as seniors, we never know about our tenure here in the world. We're kind of coming around the fourth turn anyhow. So it seems sometimes surprising to see others that you know and how much they have aged. Well, you have too, and so have I. So keep your home fires going. Remember the seniors. We need to do all we can while we can. Do all we can while we can, because we just never know, folks. So keep your heads up. It's Cheer the Hawkeyes on. We got a lot of things going on. I'm going to remind you that the Heartlanders hockey is back at the arena, Extreme Arena, Friday night and Saturday night, I believe it is, Friday and Saturday. Great times, big crowds out there. Those guys really play hard. It's real fast, and they got drinks. You can get a beer, you can get a root beer, you can get a hot dog out there. Go out and support the Highlanders, the Heartlanders. So that's a story from Rex Brandstatter here at Senior Talk. I really, really thank you so much for listening in. We'll get some warm weather going here and keep the Major League Baseball going. It's just getting started. It's fun. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. So long.